The Bravemaker Show is hosted by Tony Gaffestone and Christina Jackson. Thanks for tuning in. It's showtime.
Hey, what's up, party people? It is showtime. My name is Tony Gaffestone. I'm so glad you're tuning in today for our special Bravemaker show featuring Sundance selections. I am a filmmaker, writer, director in Redwood City, California. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm wearing an pretty obnoxiously bright orange shirt. Someone said I look like I belong in a penitentiary, which is fine. But I'm happy to be with you as a Caucasian man with brown hair, wearing some ridiculous kind of old 70s looking glasses as well. But I'm always with my friend, my collaborator, co-host, and now I can say producer of our second feature film for Bravemaker, Christina Jackson.
Oh man, Tony, that feels good. Producer. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to put on this hat. Yes, thank you and welcoming to the show, Christina Ray Jackson. I am a filmmaker, a writer, and actor here in the Bay Area, and I'm an African-American woman sitting in my studio in Dublin, California, in my favorite power chair, the Will Model C by a company called Will, and that's WHILL. We got some wild pink curly hair with pink butterflies everywhere because the theme this year is love. But I'm still doing the comic book stuff, so I'm rocking the Wakanda costume today. Wakanda forever, everyone. Always and forever. Thank you, Tony, for having me.
Yeah, if you're new to us because you're following these amazing Sundance filmmakers, you're wondering who we are. We do this every Wednesday on our Facebook page and Twitter and YouTube. So thanks for tuning in. And I want to encourage you, please go follow Christina and watch her cosplay. Every week she turns up a mashup of comic characters and superhero creature. It's just the coolest thing, and I love working with her. But we're going to do our banter really quick before we bring in our special guests because you're here to hear them. We always ask this question because we believe getting to your creative goals, making your films, whatever it is, starts one thing at a time, one small step. We call it braving your way. So how are you braving your way this week towards your creative goals, Christina?
Real easy. I've been doing this. Keeping my chin up. Had a couple setbacks, things like that. You know, I'm trying to push this comic book across the finish line, which is next week. You know that feeling like it's due
next week? It's coming out next week?
It's supposed to be out next Wednesday, but you know, it's like one thing and then that, and then there's like a lot of fires, like putting out a lot of fires right now. So the goal is next Wednesday. And I'll leave it at that. That's how I'm braving my way. I'm hopeful. My first comic book will be out next Wednesday. There, I said it. What about you, Tony? How are you braving your way this week?
Well, I'm super excited that our trailer for our feature film, Last Chance Charlene, came out into the world publicly today.
So cool.
Go to our YouTube channel and find the trailer there. We're really excited. We just got our first feature film selection, our first film fest selection, which will be in April. Can't say what it is until March. You know how that works, but we're excited to have an online premiere in April with a film festival, and then they're giving us an in-person screening later in the year when it's safe. Super cool stuff. Braving your way, making
Congratulations.
movies. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And then we're doing a table read tonight for the next feature film that
are.
Christina is going to star in. So many cool things, but just follow us. You'll hear all about it. But let's bring in our co-host. We have a co-host, not a third wheel.
So cool.
Because third wheels are good when you're on a tricycle. You need a third wheel. Jim Cummings.
Welcome, Jim Cummings.
Yeah, baby.
All right. cool.
This is Jim's
Very
second
cool.
time being on the Brave Maker show. We met 3 years ago, I forget. We met in 2019.
Yeah, it feels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at Sundance, actually at Slam Dance. We were in the hallways of Slam Dance, and then we recorded a podcast with like just the headphones and the mic, and then he came on live afterwards. Super cool. And Jim's responsible for this show happening today because he saw someone tweet you're going to meet saying, hey, Sundance is all online. We should do something to help filmmakers. And I saw it. And then Jim said, yeah, let's do a live show. And so we're here. So thanks, Jim.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Meet Christina. I want you to know Christina.
Yes.
Yes, it's nice to meet you. I just missed you the last time around. Tony had started the show online, and I think we just missed each other. And now here we are, like 2 years later. So welcome to the show. I'm glad you do
setting up the manifestation to say I'm going to release the comic book. I think like setting a deadline for me, the date, then you can't go back on it. And it's like, well, I said it once on the internet. Now I'll be a liar unless I do it.
So I got to
accountability,
that
right?
Kind of pressure.
Yeah,
accountability. I've been using that since day one. You know, I've been putting, because if I don't, you know, it's real easy to push deadlines back. You know, I never got it done, and that's enough. I'm gonna get it done. So that'll be next week. So
yeah, so be on the lookout for that. You're going to see Christina in a really cool world that she has created with an amazing imagination that she has, and we're super excited to see it come to life. Jim Cummings, many of you know him. If you don't, he is... I would attribute, Jim, you would be responsible for some of my journey too, like just inspiring people to go. Stop waiting on someone to give you permission. Stop waiting for money. Stop waiting for the gatekeepers and all that kind of stuff. Jim is also a Sundance filmmaker, and he won the Sundance Short Film Award for Thunder Road in 2016.
Yeah.
Right? And he turned that
today.
To the date? Today?
The date.
Ooh,
no
happy
way.
Anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Congrats.
Super cool. Jim has been just braving his way by making stories happen. Short films turned into feature films that then won South by Southwest, that then became major money makers in self-distribution and created a whole new conversation, rattled the industry as we know it today. And we're happy for it because we're learning from you, man. And we're doing it. We're working on our second feature and feel like Vanishing Angle. Like, we love all the stuff you're putting out into the world.
Oh, thank you so much. Anybody can do it. There is no magic to it. It's just as soon as you can ignore the power dynamics and do it on your own. The biggest hurdles to jump over are in your mind. And making movies is easy.
All right, so Jim, we've got 3 films that we're going to celebrate today, and we actually we're supposed to have a 4th, but they had to cancel last minute. And I'm actually glad they did because it would be kind of hard to handle all these great, amazing people. So today, let's bring on one at a time. Should we bring on all of them and we'll kind of focus on them one by one? What do you think?
Let's do it.
It'll be a party. Let's bring them all
here we go.
And then,
All right, here we go. We're going to welcome in Sundance Filmmaker 2022, Akanksha, Gabriela.
Welcome, Akanksha, Gabriela, Joey,
and Helena. Welcome to the Brave Maker Show.
Welcome to the Sundance party, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
We're super excited that you're here. I'm going to turn it over to Christina. She'll have you all introduce yourself and tell you that our producer, Alex Todd, is also doing quotes underneath. So say things that are fun and witty and helpful to other filmmakers.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah. You
No
gotta be wittier than
pressure.
me, which is not too difficult. I'm sure you'll come up with a couple. It's so great to see all of y'all.
Well, how about let's go around and we'll do quick introductions for our audience. We are live. If you're watching live, feel free to drop in comments and questions below. But for those who are watching or listening on the replay, I want you to be able to hear people's voices and get a visual description of who they are. Gabriela, will you start for us?
Of course. Hello, I'm Gabriela Ortega. I am a writer-director of the short film Huella, playing at the Sundance Film Festival's short section, and I almost tripped in all my words because we're live. Hello. Not nervous at all. Please don't quote that. Oh my God, my is here. Okay, I'm wearing a lime green shirt over like a black kind of halter top. I promise it looks pretty good. I have curly black hair and I am a light-skinned brown woman. And very happy to be here.
Hi.
You're up.
How that works.
That's great.
I'm Akanksha Krasinski. I am the writer, director, and I'm also the actor and editor of Close Ties to Home Country, which is in the Shorts program at the Sundance Film Festival this year. I am a 32-year-old Indian woman, and I have long, dark hair, and I'm wearing a pink hoodie and green glasses.
Hello, I'm Joey Izzo, and I am the writer, director, and editor of a short documentary called You've Never Been Completely Honest that is premiering at this year's Sundance Film Festival. I am a white man in a white room, and I'm wearing a brown corduroy shirt, and I got clear glasses.
Like those glasses. All right, last but
Nice
not
frames.
least, two for one in the same square.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Rafael Tomasetto. I'm originally from Brazil. I have brown hair and fluffy beard and mustache. I'm wearing a black shirt and a necklace with a green Brazilian stone.
Hola, I am Elena Sardinha. I am the producer of Huella, Gabriela's short film in Sundance. Rafa is my co-producer.
Yes, and I forgot to mention, I'm one of the producers of the amazing Huella.
Yeah, I'm a woman of Latin descent. I have curly brown hair and brown eyes, and I'm also wearing a black shirt. We are wearing our producer uniform, black on black on black.
Yeah. Love it. All right, so we do have a full show today, but I love hearing origin stories. We got to start there. And even though he's a co-host, Jim, real quick, can we hear where were you born and raised? How has your journey uniquely prepared you for the amazing work you're doing in film today?
Yes, sure. Let me introduce myself as well. Sorry, Jim. I am.
Yeah.
He is. Sorry, I'm the only one that didn't do it. For the vision impaired, I am wearing a blue sweater, and I am in the Parasite house. It looks like a bit. But yeah, introductions. I was a producer for 6 years and was helping other filmmakers to get their stuff off of the ground. I had a few very talented friends that I graduated from Emerson College, the film program there with, and we had a bit of stumblings into getting Vimeo staff picked on earlier things, which was like a huge deal for us in 2013 or 2012. And for a long time, I felt like I wasn't really an artist. And then I met a couple of artists and they were like, yeah, there's no magic to this. There's nothing special about it. You just have to do all the hard work and make something that you would want to see in a dark room in Park City. And I watched 1,000 short films on Short of the Week and went to South by Southwest and saw the shorts program there. And I thought, oh, I can do it myself. There's nothing that discredits me from being able to do these things. And then we made the Thunder Road short in about 6 hours in a funeral home in 2015, and it won the Grand Jury Prize in 2016. And my raison d'etre ever since has been to tell other filmmakers in the next generation that all of those fears and feelings of inadequacy are bullshit, and you can do it yourself, and you shouldn't listen to the little voices in your head that tell you that you're not good enough. I guess that's my introduction.
Yeah, thumbs up. Yeah, that's a solid intro. And if you want to see a wild, brave performance, check out Thunder Road.
Yeah, that poor guy. We put him through hell.
He went there, though. He was free. A free performance.
I'm so stoked for y'all. It's such a wild experience to look back in time 6 years and see all of you. Some acting as well, Akanksha, acting in your film. It's incredible, and people are digging them, which is great. It's a wonderful experience, and this journey is just beginning. It's strange to say. I've known Joey for a couple of years now, and he's been doing other crazy things, and so I'm not surprised. But it is really wonderful, and I feel like what sucks is that the festival went digital. It happens. Obviously, it's a terrible thing. It has to happen. It seems. But this is the best part of it. Like, I think a lot of people will go to the festival and try to network up instead of across. And that's the most important thing that you can do, is to meet other filmmakers from around the world who have the same perversions that you do and the same drive to make weird stuff. And often that will be a bigger inspiration for your next 10 years than, trying to climb some ladder or build a chair at a table that is stupid to sit at anyway.
You're here.
So true.
I feel like I've had a bunch of good quotes that should come up at the bottom of the screen.
I
now.
know.
I've got a couple of them so
Come
far.
on. She's typing.
Oh my God, it's so fast.
Well, let's chat about your journeys, everybody, real quick. How did you become that filmmaker? What's your origin story? Akanksha, why don't you start?
Sure. So I grew up in Saudi Arabia, which I'm originally from India. I was born in India, and then I wasn't even 2 weeks old, and my family decided to move to Saudi Arabia because they have good taste in countries, I guess. And that was really rough, being a little girl growing up in a culture that has no regard for women. And I couldn't do things like regular kid things, like go outside to play or like learn to ride a bike or whatever. I just had to be indoors all of the time. And so I grew up very much just like reading books and watching TV. And curiously, it was always like American TV and like American movies that like had made their way as the West does and colonize the world. And so I grew up just kind of fascinated with the power of cinema to like, move and also like serve as a form of escape. And I realized that that's what I wanted to do. I didn't think for a long time that it was available to me because I didn't really see many or any women directors growing up. And it ended up being complete happenstance that the only place I applied to graduate school didn't have a writing program. They only had a directing program. So this is my graduate thesis film, and I feel very, very lucky and blessed that I got to do what I wanted to do.
So cool. It's such a great short too. I got to tell you, I really love the quirkiness of it. I'm a huge dog fan. So if you love dogs, you got to see. And I kind of got a little choked up when I saw the very end of it. I don't want to give a spoiler. No dogs die, but the dog died in real life, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
Kind of made me feel something. That was nice.
She was like the best dog too. Like that dog was my soulmate. Like I became a real dog sitter for like 2.5 years after that, and she was very special.
Now, Sundance is not paying us or endorsing this podcast. It's all on Rogue, but you can still go and watch these shorts.
It's all
okay?
love.
That's right. They're still there. Go check them out. The shorts are all available at Sundance.org, and we really encourage you to do it. We're going to hear more about that later. Let's hear from Joey. By the way, Joey is from Redwood City, where I am right now.
What?
Come on, Joey.
Right. So
we met virtually in Sundance in the little geeky room.
Yeah, I went right up to him. We're like, "You're from Redwood City? What the? Can I swear on this? What the fuck?" And like, yeah, I'm from Redwood City, California, which is small suburbs of the peninsula of the Bay Area. And I've always been obsessed with movies. I've worked at 4 video stores throughout my days, and that's really like kind of how I initially made my friends. I was like that kid at sleepovers that would bring over all the horror movies and sneak them into your parents' houses and show you all the movies that your parents wouldn't show you. So from there, it's always been a matter of really relationship building, and finding people that think like-minded with me has really been at the center of all of my work. That kind of started early, and then I went to school at San Francisco State University, and especially after making this project, I'm really only now realizing how much of an influence that school and growing up in San Francisco really was. At the time, they mostly focused on experimental film and documentaries, and documentaries at that time were not big money makers. And so I was really trained by really inspiring professors, and I was really around a lot of interesting students that were trying to really push the envelope and try and put something new out in the world. And so I think I've always tried to, see a bunch of stuff and find the gaps of kinds of films that I haven't really seen. And so I really started in the experimental film world, and I really mean with like a capital E. Like I was making collage films, 30-minute collage films that felt kind of like 4 hours, and I sort of drifted, eager for more of an audience response. I drifted into narratives, and that led me into making extremely dark comedies, I guess. And I've been doing a lot of fictional work, and only recently now I've found myself more into a documentary space, but it's somewhat hybrid because it includes reenactments and animation. And so, yeah, I find myself like kind of at a kind of weird blend of kind of my past and my upbringing and what really means the most to me, and kind of a new direction forward. I've never really made a documentary before, so this is a new experience for myself. So yeah, that's a little bit.
Tony, you're on, yeah.
Christine and I were watching You've Never Been Completely Honest at the same time and tweeting or messaging each other.
Yeah.
And so those of you who haven't seen it, it's animation, it's live action, it's archival audio. It is, and it's crazy. Christina,
it's Palo Alto.
That's right. In Palo Alto, kind of where we live. Christina messaged me, "What did I just watch?" Christina, what was your first response?
I was like that. I was like, what did I just watch? My mom watching this, so I can't cuss. Yeah. And I have to say, Joey, you have been extremely successful in creating something that you found that gap. That's what I'll say. You found that gap. It was, I'll say, extraordinary. I can't even take my eyes away. I was horrified and enthralled. You know, it was a wonderful experience to see this film. Very, yeah. Yes.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to hear.
And we're definitely going to want to hear what it was like being in Jim's experience. And Jim, we want you to talk about that later too, but in a very different fashion with I think a cool sort of mashup of film ideology and genre was Huela. Gabriela, talk about this beautiful piece that celebrates and expresses grief.
Yes.
Thank you. So I'm Dominican. I grew up in the Dominican Republic, and I moved to the US when I was 18. I didn't go to formal film school, and I love to say that, but I did grow up acting and doing theater. So I ended up going to USC, but not for what people think I went to USC for. I went to USC in the like edge of campus at the theater school. But funny enough, because of like financial aid, I ended up working at the cinema library where people would come in and like rent PTA movies all the time and be like, you know, yell at me for not having what they want. But through that, when I first started acting in the US, I was a little dissatisfied with the kind of roles I was going out for and the sort of narratives that were out there for Latino characters, and being someone that's an immigrant, but also very much identifying with being here in the US and culture here. I sort of felt the need to write myself into the narrative, which I think a lot of people here do. And I think it's sort of the heartbeat of the indie filmmaker. And I started doing like one-person shows and writing for myself and acting and writing for myself and that kind of thing. But I think in 2017, it came to a point where I started sort of letting other people direct my writing, and though they were pretty great at it, and I have so many amazing collaborators in so many different countries from so many different places, I was like, I kind of saw this differently. So I was like, do I want to be a director? And in that journey of like, you know, putting my savings into projects, working for free, PAing for everyone, doing whatever for, you know, all, you name it, I've done it. I started building a little portfolio for myself. And my first short film ever was a portrait documentary of my dad, in that sort of like little hybrid space too. But I filmed it with my phone. And I know people are like, film with your phone. And I know people get annoyed by that, but it really did amazing things for me. And it kind of got me back to my basics of what I wanted to do. And I ended up licensing that to HBO. And that was like crazy because it's something I did with like $300. And then while having this like portfolios, then I applied to Lena Waithe's Rising Voices program for a chance to like make this really crazy short Huella, with some actual funding. And so this has been the culmination of sort of, I don't know, coming in and kind of believing in that these stories that I really want to tell. And as you were talking to him, just making the table, you know, and also working with producers and my friends like Rafa and Elena has been amazing. And again, I'm just happy to be here and to see so much great work. It's pretty crazy. I love it.
I love how you have, stumbled into filmmaking. Just real quick, a show of hands. Who here is a first generation filmmaker?
Damn.
That's everyone but Jim raising their hand.
me.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And who?
Joey.
And me, Joey.
Oh, Joey. That's cool.
So Jim, what questions are stirring in your mind as you hear these filmmakers and their journeys?
I mean, it's all so familiar, and it's really confirming for me and for you, I'm sure, of like the people who end up taking the risk and putting themselves on camera and putting the things they love from their heart onto film. They end up getting celebrated for it, and you know, nothing's changed in the last 6 years since I was there. And it's so true. It's nice. Like, you know, always knew that I was going to be a decent actor. I'd never gone to proper school for an education in acting, but I also never would have been cast in anything had I not taken a bet on myself and put myself in something. So like, it's the same thing with directing. If you can make something short and prove yourself as a filmmaker just to, I don't know, show off your abilities and craftsmanship, like that's a much better way of doing it than working as an assistant somewhere, hoping that someone will take you seriously 5 years from now. It's like, you kind of have to grab a camera and go and do it yourself. It's really great. It's really great to hear. I'm glad that people are doing that still.
If you're just tuning in or you're watching or listening, we're also showing images from our guests' Instagram pages. We'll keep those in the show notes if you're watching on the podcast. But we've also got Jimmy C, That's Me, showing right now. And Jim's latest film, The Beta Test, is a great film. I love industry films. I love films that kind of peel back. Like I was a huge fan of Hacks and the TV show and Entourage back in the day. I also love the other two right now on HBO Max, formerly Comedy Central. I just gain a lot because we all know that world, right? And I know some people don't want to watch that, but I always do. So The Beta Test just made me so happy. And I love that it was a dark.
It's like the meanest possible movie about Hollywood.
It's great though. There's so many
the opposite of Entourage, it feels like.
So good. All right, so y'all, we want to hear what you learned on the hardest day of shooting your film. Things go wrong. How did you brave your way? How did you conquer those things? One day of our set, we shot 4 or 5 hours with kids, studio teacher, wrapped everybody, and realized we were all in the wrong wardrobe for our film Last Chance Charlene. And we had to come back the next day. One of our actors was flying out. It cost us like a couple $1,000s. It was the worst. I had to take a lap around the neighborhood when I found that out, and I was just devastated. But we made it, and actually it made it better because we realized we could do some things with some props that we didn't think through, and it was awesome. So what about you? What did you learn on your hardest day? Who wants to go first? How about the producers? Rafael, Elena, what did you learn producing this amazing film with this director? What did you learn about producing?
Leia was very ambitious, and luckily we had a lot of support with the fellowship, which was amazing. And not only financial support, but also a lot of mentorship, which was great. But it was ambitious because, it's a short film that we had dance, we had visual effects, we had all these locations. It's still coming back from the pandemic. And I feel like, but first day, an hour before we moved to the rooftop location. So if you have watched, there's a dance scene in the rooftop. We lost the location. So that was definitely like a first challenge that Elena and I had to quick turn around and and figure something out. But we did it, and at the end of the day, as you said, a lot of times things happen for a reason, and ended up being a much better rooftop that worked out really well. So I was really happy, we made it work, and the film looks great, but it wasn't as easy as I'm saying now, because it was the first day out of 4, and we were losing our hairs out. But
You're being super humble. I just want to shout that out.
I would say that for me, the biggest lesson of Wea, and I said this in another panel we had the other day, is that as producers, we're so used to being in the front of the film and taking others a lot of responsibility and troubleshooting and problem solving all the time, that is very hard for us to tap onto our own vulnerabilities and to ask for help when you need. And I think Whale was a film that really taught me that it's okay, even if I'm a producer, it's okay even if I'm a leader, to ask for help in times of need and to look for your support system for that. And that's something I really want to take with me in other films I do.
And I think that came a lot with, we had amazing executive producers in the project that now are really good friends, and who, we are taking them, we're growing together. And I think that really, really helped us understand as independent producers what, what a studio model would look like, but in a smaller format, which was really, really great. But what the fellowship had, which was amazing, we had all the creative independency. So, Gabby, her decisions were, whatever she wanted to do at the end of the day, they could have comments, but the decision was hers. And yeah. And we have a very, very fast turnaround. It was crazy. We produced this in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow, nice job.
Wow.
Yes, we pre-produced it in 3 weeks. We shot it in 4 days, and we post-production was a month.
And then we premiere in June. We started working in the end of March, and we premiered in June. So it's just like insane.
Congratulations. And can people
Yes,
find it?
congrats.
Is it available online now?
At the Sundance Film Festival.
After Sundance, will it be anywhere?
Yes, in the US, you can find it on Amazon Prime.
Beautiful. Amazon Prime.
In the US,
Okay.
and now we're starting out with a strategy for our premiere in Europe and in Latin America.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Awesome. I think it needs to be interactive too. I can imagine it being in a really cool space and live music and dancing and all that. It's so like amazing. It just really did something. Yeah, it really did something for me. And our film was about grief too, and the exploration of the stages of grief. Anyway, very cool. Akanksha, let's hear about what you learned on your hardest day getting through close ties to home country.
Well, I feel like it became the hardest 4 days because the hardest experience for us definitely was that the location that we chose, which was absolutely like a dream location. I'm very happy that we found it. The couple who owned that penthouse wanted to be there throughout while we shot, and we couldn't afford to not have them do that. Like we could only pay, the amount that we paid was not enough to put them up in a hotel, basically. And so they were on set throughout, and they definitely felt like it was it was okay for them to come and participate, giving us feedback on shots, and
That's a movie.
eating with having lunch with the PAs, and showing them their camera gear that they've had since the 80s, and how they, so that was a lesson I learned, where I was like,
That's
okay,
so
try to
funny.
make that not happen in the future, so you don't have to be taking lessons. They also owned a dog food company, but like the dog food had like a bunch of lawsuits against it, where it was like killing dogs, and they kept trying to get me to put their dog food in our shots, be like, oh, can you do like promote our dog food? So I had to give them a couple. I had to be like, yes, sure, I'll take, we'll shoot something with your dog food. But she would like sneakily try to come and arrange our PD and the dog food. No, this is real. This happened. So I very much absolutely learned to be very specific in contracts and make sure that like you can't be on set while we're filming.
That's good. That's really good, practical.
That's good, yeah.
The strings that get attached with locations and people who give you things for free can really be problematic. And sometimes you say yes too soon. Cool, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Joey, you must have learned some practical things dealing with some of the wild things you had your actors doing. Let's talk about that.
Sure. Well, yeah, our hardest day was our only day. We had 1 day to shoot. So we had to really maximize our time and get everything that we really needed the whole film is reenactments. We do have animation components, but those were kind of we're doing that throughout kind of the post-production period. But the way that, and we shot all the reenactments on 16, and the way that we were able to do that under an extremely low budget is by really collapsing the post-production process into the pre-production. And that's the thing that I really take away, is doing as much as you can in pre-production as possible. And as an editor, I found myself really much more excited for the pre-production process by being able to work through a lot of the editorial decisions ahead of time. So I had basically an animatic with storyboards set to music. I had the interview already cut. And so I really knew down to the second every single shot that I needed to have. And so when we went in to shoot this thing in one day, we were so ready to just kind of run and gun and create this really free-flowing process. And the only other way to really do that is to have a cast that is really down to work so quickly and so fearlessly, especially with some of the material that, you know, these guys were naked half the time, and you know, were being put on crosses and in cages. So I really had to go to
You just got a bunch more views on the Sundance channel all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, I really relied on some friends that have a clowning tradition. All these people came from this small kind of art theater that was called Lyric Hyperion. It's now kind of shifted to different ownership, but they all were kind of trained by my lead actor, Phil Burgers. And I would see their clowning performances, these wild, extremely creative performances. And so I just grabbed them all because they were familiar with each other. I knew they would be comfortable, and I've seen what they do on stage. So I knew that they would not hesitate if I just said, okay, we need to shoot this now. We need to put you in a chain, and this person's going to be, you know, peeing on you, simulated. You know, so it was finding the right group of people that were down to get nasty in one day. And, you know, and if it wasn't for the kind of pre-production plan that we had, I never, if I just walked in there with a script, it would never have happened.
Are there like intimacy coordinators for what you did? Like, how do you handle the actor when you're pretending to urinate on him and things like that? How do you care for them doing that?
I think it's a matter, I mean, visually, I think we were very precise. You know, visually, they knew exactly what was going to be shot, and they knew exactly what was going to be exposed. And we had you know, many prep conversations before the shoot. And like I was saying, these people are very comfortable with nudity. It's a part of their performance tradition. So what I was asking them to do was actually not too far outside of what you would see them do on a Wednesday night. And so I think
Wednesday night for some people.
Yeah, it just so happened, I think the context of it was a little bit different. And also the way that we shot, we were trying to kind of simulate violence. Most of their, and especially we shot during the worst of COVID. So we shot like January 7th of 2021. So we're all in masks, and in part of the kind of creative strategy was to do things in montage. So you never really see somebody, you know, nobody's ever really physically assaulted in the movie. It's all kind of done through suggestive shots that are framed very close up. So we were able to keep everyone feeling quite comfortable, actually.
That's true.
And yeah.
I'm just realizing that's true. I never actually saw those things. But in my mind, I feel like I did because it was so well cut together.
Yeah. And we left a lot of, you know, and animation was able to fill in a lot of the gaps. We didn't want animation just to fill in the gaps. I really wanted the animation to feel like the kind of more surreal aspects of a kind of memory space of our subject. But, you know, I also wanted to kind of really ride the line of disgust. And so I really wanted to show reenactments that could ground people, but then also use the animation for some of the more harrowing and disgusting aspects of the story. I thought it would be a little bit more palpable. I wanted people to feel tense, but I don't want them to I don't want them to turn it off. And so I thought figuring out that right, you know, line for myself at least was
Nailed
crucial.
it.
Nailed
Joey, you
it.
nailed it.
Thank you.
Filmmakers, I want to give you a chance to also ask questions of Jim. So if you want to put Jim on the hot seat, ask a couple questions that might be helpful to you. I'll give you a couple minutes to think about that. But Gabriela and Kanksha, can you speak about directing yourself? Because you had some emotions going on in there. You had grief. You had, Kanksha, you cried for, I don't know, 3 minutes, I think, of your film. Is that right? Which the camera was like right here and you had to just emote, and it was wonderfully well done. Gabriela, you had a lot in your film, expression of pain and I mean, there was so much beautiful, miserable grief, wonderful grief. Talk about that too, and kind of in line with what Joey was saying, you know, what was going on in front of the camera. How did you direct that and handle that?
I'll go first. I think for me, it was very important to stick to the truth of the emotional life of the characters. Working with Shakira Barrera, who's such a seasoned actress to me, she's a star and she's just such a wonderful human to work with. It was very important to like gain her trust in the rehearsal process and in the weird Zoom rehearsals that we had for dancing as well, to have her embody the dance and make it her own. As an actor myself, I just want to be the director that an actor wants, you know? So to me, it was very important to not milk it, you know? I was very intentional with everything I wanted, and I knew exactly the kinds of shots I was going in for. You know, there's room for play, and I think with my DP, we were just like finishing each other's sentences by the time we were shooting. But to me, it was important to be super intentional with everything I told her, so that she gave me exactly what I needed and we could get it in a few takes. And, you know, I personally think the more takes you do, sometimes the less authentic the performance is. And since I come from theater, I mean, I'm like, let's go, baby. Now or never.
Yeah.
And so doing that it was really great. It was a great exercise for me as a director to really be concise. And I think being concise and clear is really hard. So it was a great challenge for me to just be like, hey, we don't have a lot of time to do 6 shots of this. It's like 6 takes of this. Let's go. Like my shot list was insane. It was like 30 shots a day. So I knew if I had to make my days, I had to be very clear. And then in terms of like the grief and all that thing and all of that, I think I always try to find levity in every situation. I think there's a lot of pain and emotion in the short, but there's a lot of resilience. There's even some moments of levity. And, you know, that I think when we're grieving, like I lost my grandmother a month after we premiered, which sort of mirrored the film. And I remember in those days, I was both like super happy to be able to be home with my family and like read the eulogy and like be there for that moment and feel like so alive. And then I was grieving at the same time and felt her absence. But I think both things could exist at the same time. And I'm hoping that that's something that you see in the short, that you could be strong and vulnerable at the same time.
Thank you. Yeah, the film that we just finished is about death by suicide. And everybody always says like, oh, it's dark. I'm like, but it's a dramedy. It's a lot of laughter and a lot of humor in it because that's how we cope, you know? So I totally appreciate that tension you're talking about and getting that on screen. Akanksha, don't forget, if we want to ask questions of Jim, we're going to have Jim do some responses too. Come on, Jim, you got some stuff. We want to hear from you too. Akanksha, what about you getting that stuff expressed?
Yeah, I think that I've always found making stuff as a means to process life, and especially to process like the not so good stuff that happens in life. This story about me not having seen my sister in like a decade, I've been carrying it around for a long time, but I don't really particularly like share it with people. Like it's like, you know, it's very awkward to say to somebody, oh yeah, I haven't seen my sister in 10 years, and then have them not immediately like try to solve the problem, you know, like why, like how can we fix that, how can we like try to get her sponsored and get her visa and and it's not that simple. It's just not like you and me can't solve that problem. And so I found that getting to make a film about it, and like kind of there's the removal of the endless question asking, because the truth is that it's completely out of my hands. And in the case of a lot of immigrants, like the immigration system that is so broken is largely, it's out of our hands. Like we can't, it seems like it's at the level of policy change, and we can't, you know, there's nothing I can do about the fact that I can't see her. So I think that I needed the safety of a performative space to go and channel that. And then it came down to finding the right players, like the right people who would make it into a safe space to be able to access that emotion. And so my producer Felicia Ferrara and my DP Luke Dyra, I trust them, like, you know, from the bottom of my heart, and it was thanks to them that we were able to create a safe space where I could really just, you know, share that. And yeah. I think it really takes, filmmaking is so collaborative, and I really think it takes finding the right people to tell your story.
Can we talk about that, Jim? I have a question for you, just dealing with when you think you found the right people and you realize you don't. Any thoughts around cutting people, firing people?
No comment. No, I'm really, you know, I've been making movies as a producer for 10 years, and we've fired, you know, 500 people. And then there's like 20 people that we really love and that are all juggernauts and help on all of our films and make them great. Yeah, it takes forever. It takes a long time to figure out how you speak the language of film, and then to get people around you that speak the same language. It's difficult. Gabriella, that was interesting. You said about including levity in the film, and Tony as well. I always say that if you don't make jokes throughout your movies, your audiences will. And I find that by making a film, especially a short film about a very austere subject, and just approaching it with absolute drama and no levity, you lose the audience. Like there's so many missed opportunities that you could be winning the audience's attention and engagement. And then in talking about making something about grief in a safe space, it's so important from the writing perspective for me to make something that is actively making me laugh and cry at the same time. Where like, as soon as you're doing that, you know that you found the right thing that's very good. Unless it's actually making you laugh or actually making you cry, you know, it might not be worth it to do it. And so like, yeah, that's a difficult thing to have to explain to people, where it's like, yeah, I was driving to work and I was crying for 2 hours listening to Bruce Springsteen. And like, I can't explain to you why it has to be this song, and I'm never going to get the rights to it, but it has to be this song because it's working for me, and I'm going to be the guy up there next to the coffin. So like, it's such a weird thing that you can't learn in school. You have to learn it through your own fucking biology to be able to get the thing out of your body and onto the screen. It's an interesting thing, and I'm glad that y'all are also doing it. It warms my heart.
So powerful. So good. We got a few more minutes left. Filmmakers, any questions you have for each other or for Jim? Anybody? Open.
We have a question for Jim, actually. A lot of filmmakers, when they have shorts, they use it as a calling card to develop into a feature like you did with Thunder Road. And I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience with that, because that's...
Oh, it's the mirror. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm happy to answer that. Yeah, so we were doing the short film of Thunder Road as the first real short that I had done that anybody took seriously. But even then, we had 75 meetings in Hollywood with top brass, people that had turned, you know, Saw into a feature, or Napoleon Dynamite into a feature, or Whiplash into a feature. And it never really led to anything. It was actually like the worst financial year of my life was 2016, and we won in January, because I was expecting that there would be some sort of infrastructure to support the kids, the people that have a good, you know, proof of concept. And we put it on Vimeo in June or July, and it got, you know, 500,000 people to see it. And from those audiences, we ran a Kickstarter campaign to make the feature of Thunder Road. And then as soon as that was successful, when we won South by Southwest, we started the Short to Feature Lab, which Joey was in the first iteration of, where we help other filmmakers who have these shorts that are incredible proofs of concept to then partner them with, you know, celebrity filmmakers. We partnered Joey with Derek Cianfrance, who is a big fan, mutual fans now.
Yeah, incredible.
But that's, I feel like, our job. There isn't a real infrastructure to be able to help short filmmakers to then meet the next level and transition into longer format filmmaking. Nobody really helped us, and so we kind of had to build that highway. But it's my favorite thing to do, and I'm always here to help. If there's anything specific that I can do, I'll do it for free. I feel like there is no textbook written about this stuff, and so we've kind of made it our jobs to help out the next gen.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions for Jim, for each other?
I want to hear what everyone's doing next.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it. All right,
Or
what's next?
I'm excited about.
How about you start, Gabriela? Can you start with your own question?
Well, I want to turn Weya into a feature. I'm really excited about that. I'm actually, but also actively, I'm working on a video game. I can't say much about that.
What?
But that's been
Whoa.
yeah. So my goal
Very
is to
cool.
go to Comic-Con. I really want to be like I really want to be like there, even though I have nothing to do with like Comic-Con culture or like video games and stuff. I just really want to be part of that zeitgeist.
Let's
So-
collab.
I mean, I know I'm excited for your comic book. But yeah, I'm hoping to turn that into a feature. Hire me, working, gonna do the damn thing. You know, I'm here. I'm hustling. You know, same old. We'll
Yep,
see what's
yep.
next.
All right, Gabrielle, thank you. Hey, by the way, if we can help Bravemaker, we fiscal sponsor filmmakers. We have 7 fiscally sponsored projects right now, all different stages of development, doc, live action, animation, to help you raise money with the nonprofit. We love doing that kind of stuff. So if we can, let us know. Akanksha, what's next for you?
I'm currently writing a screenplay, a feature, and I was hoping that Close Ties would be a proof of concept for that. But after hearing Jim say that it's, I'm just like, maybe I should just go and find a
Grim Reaper, you're listening to me rip your dreams apart.
every day. I think to myself, I'm like, is this what am I doing really? Like, am I a fool? Like, should I find a real job? My boyfriend he's very kind at he's like good at reminding me. He's like,
What else did you do?
you don't have a trust fund, but you act like you're a trust fund kid. You just kind of sit around and do nothing. And I'm like,
I'd be terrible at anything else. Like I would be so
that's the
miserable,
problem.
too.
That's
No real jobs. No real jobs. Hashtag no real jobs. You're doing great, Akanksha. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
it's the truth.
Write that script. Write that
Everyone
script. We
keep
want to see
going.
it. Write it,
Yeah,
please.
listen to your boyfriend. He's smart.
Yes.
Yeah. Let us help you. We're here to help you. Let's collab. Seriously.
Yeah.
Joey, what you got next?
Well, I did want to just say that I did take Jim's short to Feature Lab, and it was just on its own an incredible experience, and I recommend everybody apply because, I mean, yeah, he's a great teacher and he keeps good company. So just being able to share that space with everybody and to discuss everything was incredibly helpful just in and of itself. And I feel like I'm still kind of learning the lessons. I think it's very hard to recognize the truth, at least for me, until it happens to me. And so, I found myself somewhat resistant, as many of us might think, that we're going to be the exception to, some of the harder truths that Jim is saying. And after a couple of years of passing, I'll say that it's becoming more and more true. Like, you only kind of realize it when things do come to you, or you think that they're going to come to you. So, the sooner you can learn those lessons, the better. And I'm kind of in the middle of that myself. And what's next for me is going to be a series adaptation of the short. So this is sort of like the origin story of a much larger thing that I want to tackle, which would be the history of self-help seminars. So that's next.
Ding, ding, ding. I love it. Do that. That's cool. Rafael, Helena, anything you want to add? Whatever Gabrielle is doing, you're going to produce, we're assuming, but anything else that's different?
Yeah. We work with closely with Gabby, but we work a lot with other collaborators. We are developing a TV show in Alaska, which is pretty cool, and other feature films in development in Latin America. We have a film in Beirut. So a couple of cool things coming our way.
Fantastic. And Jim, we know you're shooting something because I saw you posting some NDA stuff, or not NDA, but undisclosed things, right? What are you shooting in LA? You found some dog or something like that?
Yeah, I found dogs. Yeah, there were dogs roaming in the street for the shoot of my fiance's. We shot a short film, actually with overlapping actors for Joey's short, which is so strange.
Oh, nice.
Oh, great.
Yeah, Bill O'Neill actually came. Yeah, and we were like, we're talking shit about you for the whole time.
Please continue.
But
Wait,
no, we're
Bill
doing that.
O'Neill is the brother of my friend Moira.
Oh,
Yeah, I was like, Bill O'Neill from Moira. Yes, that's great.
small world. And then I'm just writing stuff. I'm never expecting anybody to give us any money to do it, but it's making me laugh, and I'm having a fun time doing it. Yeah, I feel like I'm not trying to have any more expectations than I would have 6 years ago. You know, I'm still just trying to make little things with my friends.
Mhm.
Yep.
I think following what Jim said, I think, one of the things that Gabby, Elena, and I were drawn into each other, besides being neighbors, best friends, and really good collaborators, we just like hustle through. Like, as like 3 immigrants in this town, we're like we're gonna work through it. Like, we're not gonna be expecting for people to like giving us money or giving us a call. Like, we're gonna do it. Do you want to be part of it? Amazing. Do you not want to be part of it? We're still making it. We're gonna find our way through. And anyways, we're really happy to. One thing that it's really important, like when we found out about Sundance, we all like cried together, and we're like, it's special because we're making it with people that we love, and at the end of the day, like, we're drawing to finding amazing collaborators, like people to make art with. So,
Yeah, that's a great way to end. Get on the train or get off or get out of the way. We're going to run you over. Come on. So you all are wonderful, amazing makers. Thank you so much for your time. Christina and I know we're super inspired by your films. Love being connected to you, Jim, these past few years. Thank you. We got connected to Danny Madden because of you, and we had Beast and Jose Angeles, who's up. Just so many cool things. If we can be a resource to you all, we would love to help you in any way possible. Thank you.
Yep.
We
Thank you guys.
We want to do a quick picture, so don't go away. But Christina, tell them what's coming up next week.
Yes, we have a great show next week. Let me not mispronounce her name. Sujata. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Tony, did I get that from Insecure? Yep. We will have her on the show next week at 4 p.m.
And Sujata also has a film.
Sujata.
She has a film on Netflix right now called Definition Please. So check her out. She's going to be on the show. She was on the original Diary of a Awkward Black Girl with Issa Rae, and now she just dropped her first film on Netflix. So she'll be on with us live next week.
And we are so excited to have her here.
We're so excited. Just as excited as we were with these Sundance filmmakers. But thank you all for watching the show. We are a nonprofit. We do all of this work because you all support us. And if we can support you, hit us up, let us know. That's why we're here. We're really easy to find. Christine and I are super active on socials. You can go to bravemaker.com or find us on all the socials at bravemaker.org. Thank you to those donors and corporate sponsors who give us everything from the gear we use to help us pay the rent and insurance and help us do our film Last Chance Charlene, which if you go on our YouTube page, the trailer is there. Check it out. And tonight we go into our first table read of Go Veronica Go, which stars Christina Jackson. We're very, 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 very excited. All right. Makers, stay tuned. We're going to take one picture with you. We're going to do our outro, and then we'll be back. Brave stories change the world.
And you are the story. Thank you, everybody.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at bravemaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word BraveMaker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.